Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist turned mindset and high-performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. And today, I'm thrilled to bring you another Leaders or Readers Wired for Success book club feature. As you might know, if you're a regular listener of this podcast, this segment is dedicated to introducing you to the best books from the science, self-development, and entrepreneurship categories that help you get wired for success. And this means I invite top scientists, thought leaders, and super successful entrepreneurs to discuss their latest books so that we can explore new ideas and proven frameworks together. If you have any questions for our featured author, please make sure to drop your questions into the chat or into the comments, and we will come back to them later. With all that said, it's time to introduce today's featured author. My guest today is sales expert, performance coach, international speaker, podcast host, and author Shawn French. Shawn attributes his sales success to having the right mindset on a day-to-day basis with a strong emphasis on high-performance habits. He has reinvented himself multiple times, and his passion is helping others do the same. Today, we are going to discuss his book, Unstoppable, which details how he went from rock bottom and dead broke to six figures in just 7 months. And personally, I believe that success leaves clues, as Tony Robbins said, and that people who succeed at the highest level are doing something differently than everyone else. So let's look for those clues in Shawn's story today. Welcome, Shawn, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
No, Claudia, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
I'm so excited too.
I've been waiting for it. This is cool. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be so much fun. Shawn, what does this book mean to you personally? I mean, reading it, it felt like it must have been a very therapeutic experience writing it. But what did it feel like to you writing it?
You know, it's really funny. While I was writing it, it wasn't any type of feeling. It was just, this is my journey. This is how I felt. And this is the circumstances I was in. And my reasons and my whys were so big. So I implemented certain habits that I know we're going to get into on a day-to-day basis, regardless of how I felt. And it led me to making high six figures in 6 months. Now, here's where the emotion kicked in. Here's where the feeling kicked in, is when this book was published and it started going out, people were buying it and, you know, posting about it, which was so unbelievable and humbling. But the feedback was just the amount of heart and the amount of raw authenticity and vulnerability in your words is absolutely incredible. Your story is very relatable, and it blessed me. And that's when, like, I started getting the physical tingles in my skin when people talk about my book, such as when you just asked me about that feeling came back. Every single time someone text messages me, emails me about the book, that feeling of just love just overwhelms me, because I know my story is super relatable and it needed to get out there, you know. So it's the first of many, but I'm elated at the response so far.
Yeah, it definitely resonated with me a lot. And one of the motives that came up over and over in your book was how traumatic experiences from our past often influence our present and our future. So what do you see as maybe the 1 to 3 key experiences in your childhood that fundamentally shaped the way that you saw yourself and the world in general?
Well, I think, trauma does a lot of things, right? It can do a lot of things, but the two major ones are propel you to success or leave you at rock bottom, right? And it's everybody's choice, right? No matter how big the trauma was, that is your story. Your mess is your purpose, and your purpose is somebody else's roadmap to success, first and foremost. But the things that I would say that impacted me heavily were, one, there was a lot of negative motivation in my family. Coming from my father was, if you don't become a Major League Baseball player, you're not going to be anything because you don't have any other skills. So that negative motivation created this chip on my shoulder that until I learned how to really manage that, it burned a lot of relationships. But what it did for me is it was like, you just put fuel in the jet. Now I'm going full throttle. I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove you wrong. So I would say that was a key principle for me, was the negative, the negative motivation. The other one was like the shaming, right? Just the not good enough programs that I had. My dad would always, you're going to hear a lot about my dad in these, and he did a lot of good things too. So don't get me wrong. He taught me how to work. He taught me how to be a man, provide for my family, no matter what. But specifically, the trauma aspect was, I created this perfectionist complex. It was always, hey, you're doing great, but you did this wrong in this game, and this wrong, and this wrong. And what I think he was trying to say was like, hey, listen, don't be seduced by success. Let's really be happy about the results, but also understand that your growth is not done. But as a child and a teenager, you're looking at it as like, I'm not good enough. I have to be perfect. Right. So much I would seek so much approval from other people. Hey, was that good? How did that look? Did I hit that ball hard? Or like, hey, like, how did I look on this swing? How was that throw? It's so much that my senior year, we had these awards and I got Paul Perfectionist. I was puffing my chest and thought it was really cool. And, in my late 30s, early 40s, I realized that was actually a dig on me. So that is a big one. The other one was, I think, just a lot of body shaming. I mean, just to be quite honest, it'd be like, hey, you still have, fat here and there, and you pick me apart. And so, all those things, kind of created who I am, the good and the bad of me.
Yeah, definitely.
But those are the three things for me that I battle on a day-to-day basis still.
I know, it's so hard, right? And it's just so interesting how those early experiences create our core beliefs. I mean, a lot of those early experiences, they happen between the ages of 0 and 7, and they're in fact pre-verbal, which means that you learned a lot of your core beliefs before you even had words to describe your experiences. Yeah. So your mind coded your experiences in sounds or in images, and most importantly, in feelings. And it's so important to understand that our experiences are translated into actual biology via the pattern of neuronal connections in your brains, for instance. And that's what makes it so hard to change later on. It's not impossible, but it definitely requires effort to change the wiring later on. So as a child, your brain is still under development, and certain functions like logical reasoning, they are not fully developed yet. So it's easy for you to pick up other people's opinions or judgments and mistake them for the truth. And you might hear someone say that you're not smart enough, or that you're a fat kid or something like that. And this becomes your truth, even though it's just somebody else's opinion. And adopting those negative opinions or going through negative experiences that make you feel inferior, humiliated, embarrassed, or disconnected creates the basis for seriously limiting beliefs about yourself and about your ability to create the life that you want to live. And in your book, you mentioned a realization that I think a lot of high achievers really resonate with. And that's that people judge you based on your performance. So what were the consequences of this realization? And how did this one thought change how you showed up, how you felt about yourself, and how you lived your life?
It's a great question. Early on, you don't really think about it. You're out there playing baseball, and no matter what you do, you think you're doing good, right? Until you get to about 10 years old, and then you realize, like, man, I'm not very good at this. This specific aspect of my game, I'm terrible at. And when those mistakes are made in front of people, what do little kids do? They feel that shame. They feel I'm not good enough. They cry, right? But as I got older, it wasn't really an issue because I turned into be a really good baseball player. So for me, the added benefit was like, hey, if you're going to judge me on my performance, then you're going to freaking love me because like I'm a dude, like I can flat out play. Now, where that starts to, I think it also creates some type of backlash as well, right? Because when you go through a season or an injury or something like that to where you're not performing at your best or you literally can't play, then who the hell are you?
Exactly.
What's your identity? And I dealt with that when I had my first injury, my blood clot. I was in the hospital on Thanksgiving, for crying out loud. And I remember when they were doing the test to see, is this a blood disorder? Because if this is a blood disorder, you're never playing baseball again. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, give me a pill. Like, let's go. But the problem was, if my blood was clotting due to a disorder, I would have to be on a blood thinner the rest of my life. And with that being said, I wouldn't even be able to shave with a razor because if I got nicked, the blood wouldn't stop, right? It wouldn't clot. So my point of that is the second part is, or is this just a trauma-related incident where you may have heard it somehow and just didn't know? Now, at that point, I'm thinking, if it's the former, who am I?
Yeah.
No one. Like, literally, I am not even a person without this sport. So, to your question, it's great when things are going well, but if you don't have a solid foundation of who you are as a human being, and when something like that happens, it's hard to recover from. And you're hurt emotionally, right? You're hurt physically. What do hurt people do? They hurt people, right? And so it sets this up a huge forest fire that is so hard to contain and stop.
I know that's so hard. And that's what I see a lot, because when you define your worth through your performance alone, when things don't work out the way that you want, that leaves you with this emptiness inside and this question of who am I if I don't perform well, right? Mm-hmm. So I find that this belief that other people judge you based on your performance is something that can have really paralyzing consequences. I mean, it's for you, you said it drove you more to an overcompensation pattern. Mm-hmm. So it fueled you. But for many people, it can be really paralyzing because it creates this immense pressure to perform well and to fulfill other people's expectations. And it leads people to struggling with imposter syndrome and perfectionism, and even to create this elaborate public persona that's designed to hide their doubts and their fears, and that just portrays a confidence that they don't actually feel. And the downside is that it requires a ton of energy to keep up that shiny facade, to pretend to be someone you're not. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people out there who achieve, let's say, financial success, for instance, but they never feel wealthy or successful. Yeah. It's kind of like their life got an upgrade, but their internal programming didn't get the memo and is still stuck feeling those old feelings. And that's actually something that's very common and that I help my clients with, because upgrading their internal script, if they don't do that, they are so likely to sabotage themselves sooner or later. And you mentioned that feeling disconnected and out of alignment was something you struggled with when you first got into sales, when you were new to sales, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what happened in that nice little town in Southwest Florida when you just couldn't get out of your truck? And what did you change going forward?
Oh my gosh, when I couldn't get out of my truck?
Yes, I love that story.
There's been multiple moments like that with me. I'm not gonna, pull any punches there. Like multiple moments of me driving around and having an emotional breakdown. Imposter syndrome comes into play, right? And all these, this is too big, and the pressure of performing, because now your job's online. You're an adult now, right? And you have children. And if you don't perform and you don't make sales, you don't have a job. You can't pay your mortgage or your rent or your car, or how about, food for your kids? So for me, it was really strange. I went back into sales after a short hiatus. I was coaching for 10 years and, as a baseball coach and a high school teacher. And excuse me, I realized once my son was born, my first child, I have 3 now, a boy and 2 girls. I was like, I'm like going home at night after a baseball game. He's asleep, and I'm leaving to get to school before he's even awake. So there's times where I wouldn't see my child for 4 days, and I'd lived with him, and it was empty. It was empty feeling, mixed in with the fact that, we weren't winning much. So I was like, why am I even doing this? Right. These kids I don't feel they're really getting much out of it. Looking back at it now, I served my purpose, and those kids grew because of what we did on the field. And it wasn't about a win or a loss. It was about the experience, the process, right? But when I switched over, you're talking about having to go from coaching kids to, okay, now I'm in a full-fledged performance-based career. Mm-hmm. And although I know I have the abilities to do it, I have the skills, the communication skills, I have the energy to where people are drawn to. And everybody around me saying how great I'm going to be. I got all the training. But like when you get out there in your truck and you're driving around and you're going to make those calls, it gets real quickly. And you realize there's another human being that doesn't even want to look at you, much less buy your service. So I think for me, those first 3 months, like the first month, I sold three or 4 payrolls, and then the next month 0. And then the next month 2. And I remember this specific time you're talking about. It was a rainy day in the fall. It was September. And I was in Marco Island, Florida. And I'm driving around, and I had this whole plan. I'm gonna go see this accountant. I'm gonna go see this current client. I'm gonna go call this customer. I'm gonna go to the chamber and ask them for referrals. And I was driving around for like 2 hours. I just couldn't get out of my damn vehicle. And I pulled over into the Publix parking lot, and I just had a real conversation with myself. Like, what's going on? Like, and all full on just panic and tears.
Been there, done that.
So yeah. So it was not a quick process. It was like an hour long of me being the guy crying in the parking lot at Publix and people looking at me and knocking on the window like, are you good? Publix is a store, a supermarket here in the States. Yeah. And it's the real story. Like they were knocking on my window like, bro, you good? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fine. Just keep moving. Just having a moment here. And finally at the end, I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'm just in sales. And they laughed. He's like, here's my card. Call me. So, it's funny. So after that, I pulled my stuff together so I could actually drive home. I'm like, look, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go back to the office or go home. I don't know which. But I called my boss, Dan Tuffarello. And I had known Dan from the baseball circuit. He was an acquaintance at the time. Now he's a brother to me. He's one of my closest friends, one of the very few people I trust my children with. And love him dearly. And I called him. I said, bro, I had a day, man. A day. He's like, what happened? And I told him the whole story. I was like, I need to talk to you. Can I come in? Are you in the office still? Go in there. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to go back to doing what I know how to do. Something that I'm marginally good at, right? I know baseball. I know the workflow. I know everything about it. I just want to be in that element. This just isn't for me. He says to me something that was so powerful. He goes, I told you I was going to give you a year, and I know you're going to kill it. You're going to be so good at this. He's like, but I'm going to require you to give me a year as well. He goes, respectfully, I can't hold you hostage. You're a man. You have a child. He goes, but you're not going anywhere.
I love that story.
I said, okay. I was like, bro, I'm gonna lose everything. Can't make any money. He's like, well, if you don't sell one payroll every month, you make exactly what you did while you were a teacher. Actually, it's a $5,000 raise. I was like, you're right. I started operating on that mindset. Like, even if I don't sell anything, I'm still making more money than I did when I was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I told myself, I was like, you know what? They require us to make 8 or 10 calls a day, right? So I'm going to make like 20 to 30. And I have these yellow notepads, those big ones. I was like, I'm going to bring one along with me. And I'm going to write down everything I do, specifics of everything. I'm going to send it to that cat every single day. The second day, he's like, Shawn, you don't have to send this to me. I trust you. I was like, well, listen, man, I'm doing this for me. This is my accountability exercise. This is how I'm doing it. That was September, early September. Decent month, nothing great. October, I absolutely exploded. Didn't know what I was doing, right? I ran 10 payrolls that month for $20,000 in revenue. And then November, supposed to be a slow month, slayed it. 11 payrolls for $22,000. December, I did like, I think probably 25 or 26 grand. January, 62 grand. February, 14. March, 57. April, 60 something. And then in May, did like 30 something grand. Ended up being in the top 10% of that company that year in 7 months. And in those 7 months, I literally became a top performer of that organization, making 6 figures.
That's amazing. I love that story. And I love
what I was doing.
Yeah, I love that you share the fears and the insecurities as well, because that's what people resonate with. Because usually we only see the success stories. We see the success, like the last step in the process. We don't see all the trials and tribulations that led there. And I think it's so important to come to a place in your life where you dare to be you, to be authentic, and to be unapologetic about who you really are. Because that is what allows you to truly connect with others, to inspire them, and to form those deep, meaningful relationships, right? Of course, that's easier said than done.
Sure is.
Maybe you can just outline your framework for becoming unstoppable. What are your core ingredients for creating this sustainable success?
Being 1,000% authentic. Like it's authentic me. When I started this journey of writing this book and doing the podcast, coaching other salespeople and entrepreneurs and just professionals, or even just individuals that want to grow in their life, I told myself, I will always be honest. I will always share my whole journey. I won't leave anything out. And I'll be completely transparent at all times. And so with that, I think it's very liberating, because to your point about 2 minutes ago, big success stories, that's all you hear. No one talks about how hard it is still every single day. Nobody talks about they could be making 7 figures and still feel like they're not good enough. Like, these are real things. And if we don't address them, then you are dead where you stand. You're not going to grow, and you're lying to yourself, right? And that's the one thing that I promised myself I would never do. And so when I was writing this book, I'm like, what do I struggle with? What did I struggle with? And how did I overcome those things to become a top sales professional in the human capital management industry and now in the medical industry? right? Because I think there's something there. And for me, it was, okay, journeying into the mind. How am I thinking? What are my limiting beliefs? How did I overcome them, right? And what habits did I focus on? Mindset, determination, discipline, clarity, intention, all these things that everybody talks about. They talk about them for a reason, right? Because when you focus on those things, you don't think about the bad stuff. You're so locked in on your process that you don't have time for your emotions or how you feel. And the benefit of that benefit is you move in spite of your feelings every single day, your emotions, how your body feels. I don't wake up in the morning and scan my body to see how I feel, Claudia. I literally set an alarm the night before for 4 a.m. And when that sucker goes off, I already decided. I don't have to put my alarm clock on the other side of the room to go get it. I don't have to do a 5-second method. I've already decided. And when people ask me like, well, I can't wake up early. I'm like, well, no, you can. You just choose not to, because you're looking at it differently. You're looking at it as, what are you giving up instead of what am I gaining? And so the big trigger that I think every single time I have that issue is like, okay, what is my process that you have to stick to every single day, no matter what? No matter what happens, what are the 3 things that you have to get done? Do them regardless, right? The other thing is like, what would the Shawn French that God has in his mind that he created, what would he do in this moment? Amen. He surely wouldn't not go do the work in his life and in his business and on his fitness and his nutrition and his relationship with his wife and children. He wouldn't leave that on the back burner. He would attack every single situation. And that's how I built the framework of Unstoppable.
Those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that taking full responsibility for your own life and changing your narrative to an empowering one is something that we just cannot emphasize often enough, because people often put too much focus on those external things like getting another degree, getting another pay raise, getting married, or whatever else they think needs to happen in their lives that will finally make them complete. But often those things won't change how they feel about themselves, or only for a short period of time. And at the end of the day, what matters most is how you feel about yourself when you're all by yourself and no one is watching, right? So getting out of that victim mentality is probably among the first things everyone has to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's that moment, right? That moment where you realize to be just responsible for the decisions that you made. Like right now, everything we have in our life is a reflection on our internal beliefs.
Yeah.
How we feel about ourselves and how we, I guess, took action maybe 2 to 5 years ago. This isn't a product of what I decided to do last night. I'm right here with you because of a decision I made 2 years ago. Start this journey, right? This is delayed gratification. This is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. So thank you. You're an amazing interviewer. I want to stop the interview and just acknowledge you, who you are. You're incredible.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And that happens because you gave yourself permission to do that. And you worked at it. And it doesn't matter how hard you fall, because you're going to get kicked in the kneecaps. You're going to get kicked in the teeth in life. And the bottom line is you have to look at yourself. I hope everybody listening understands this. You have to look at yourself and say, how did I create that scenario?
Yeah.
How did I create that person cutting me off? Maybe you left 5 minutes too late. That's on you, bro. You left on time. You would have gotten cut off. Why give that person the one finger salute when it's your fault? But when we operate like that, that's empowering.
So true. That's one of the best questions to ask yourself regularly. How did I contribute to the situation that I am in right now? And I think you and I are very similar in how we approach our goals and how we help others achieve their goals. So in my coaching, I kind of do this same thing that you're probably doing. So we assess the current situation. We talk about what works and what doesn't work right now. We set SMART goals, and then we map out an action plan, and I hold them accountable for keeping the promises that they gave to themselves. So it's a deceivingly simple process, right? But a lot of people just don't follow through. And for a long time, I thought that discipline and tenacity were the only things you needed in order to reach your goals. But more and more, I'm realizing that this is just partially true. Yes, you do need discipline and tenacity in everything, but it's so much easier if you can make your process fun. Because motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you going, but fun makes the entire process worthwhile and enjoyable. So when we can get into flow, we can achieve our goals with so much more ease. So what are your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's a lot.
I know.
So here's the thing. I believe in dreaming big and setting goals that scare the absolute you know what out of me, right? That's going to entice me to move on an every single day basis. The M word, I can't stand. Motivation. It's a fleeting emotion. It's a feeling. You know, you could sit here on this interview right now and pump me up and I can be excited, and then I can get off the interview and my dog throws up and I got to go to vet and all the motivation's gone.
Yeah.
Because life happens, right? So like the thing is like you said, the discipline and drive is what is going to carry you through in order to be successful. That's all it is. I don't want to do everything I do every single day. As much of a blessing as it is to go to the post office numerous times a week and fill out postage, that's not something that's fun. The fun part is when that book gets in their hands. I think about that. I think about all the love that I'm putting into this addressing of the envelope, part of the process for right now. That's the process. I'm writing every note, personal, signing it with love. That's discipline.
And it's how you make it fun, though, isn't it?
Exactly. So listen, it's not going to always be fun. You know that.
I know that.
If you can enjoy the process, like I'm going to tell you right now, like there's times in my current journey where I look at myself like, oh my gosh, like this is not good enough. There's another level. Like, what am I doing wrong? But the 5-year ago me would look at me and go, dude, you ungrateful little twerp. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of it too. And you spoke about things that, make it fun and the drive and the discipline. But there's one more thing. There's one more thing along the journey.
What is it?
Grace.
Yes.
Give yourself some grace. And when I say that, I get goosebumps because there's too many people out there I'm getting emotional about it because there's too many people out there that don't give themselves grace. And I am one of them. And that's why it's emotional to me. So when people hear me speak about things and when they say, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear that really hit me. Like, well, why do you think I made it? Because I'm struggling with that like right now, and that's okay. Because a lot of people think that, well, if I'm going to be this authority, then the masses need to think I have it all figured out every second of the day. And to your question earlier, how do I keep it real? Is like, I don't have it all figured out.
Yeah. Nobody has.
Nobody does.
That's the secret.
You're going to have to admit it. Listen, I struggle with this too. That's what makes someone like me and you so qualified to coach people. Because we go through it still and we take our experiences and test out theories and ways we can get better. And then we give them to somebody else. Here's what I've done. May work, may not. But, with all of that is if you're not giving yourself an extraordinary amount of grace, then you're going to struggle and you're going to be frustrated and you're never going to love yourself fully and you're never going to love the body of your work. That's what's truly sad.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of perfectionists, including myself, struggle with occasionally. The same as, or a similar struggle is maybe trusting the process when you don't see results yet, because you have to stay committed before you see results, right?
Dude, oh my God, I want to hug you right now. That's the thing. It's like the delayed gratification of your results is it's delayed for a reason. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the action, right? And a lot of times it is so dark and so lonely in this journey. And like you feel like you're all alone, even though you're in the house with 3 children and a beautiful wife. You're like, I'm all alone. And but there's time, right? And what I mean by there's time is it is a thing that goes by regardless. So do the damn work. Do it with love, passion, and drive and determination. And guess what? Your next call could be a $50,000 payday. You don't know that. So why not be prepared? Why not expect it? Why not, put that in good energy out there instead of the, it's not really happening. Like, am I the guy? Am I the girl? Should I do something different? And it's funny because I thought about that the other day. It's like, man, maybe this isn't, like maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I'm like, oh no, something big's about to happen. Because every time I think that, I absolutely go to a different stratosphere. So you heard it here first. It's something big's about to happen.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, staying committed is one thing, but we also have to be flexible enough and honest enough with ourselves to admit when things are not working so that we can pivot or adjust what we are doing, right? And this is something that I find really difficult. How do we know when it's time to power through? And how do we know when it's time to pivot or quit? What do you think?
I love that. So how to power. So, the time, right? The time to power through and pivot is the time when these are just my emotions. Like I have more in the tank and we have more in the tank than we give ourselves credit for. Right. So, just moving in spite. Now, if there's days where you're just sick to your stomach and it's almost like every time you speak, you feel like your face is morphing and you feel like a total weirdo, put it down, man. Walk away. You know what? Go do something you love. Go do something that you have. If you like to fish, go fish for an hour. If you like to sit there and binge on Netflix, I'm going to say something very contrary and very unpopular right now. Yes, you can binge watch on Netflix and be successful. Like, yes, you have to schedule it into your day, right? If it's at night, do it, right? But if there's specific days where you just can't get out of your own way, why would you continue to push when you can go for a run, go fishing, watch American Horror Stories, whatever it is, and then be renewed tomorrow and absolutely attack your process. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer.
So it leads us back to give yourself grace on your bad days, right?
Yeah.
So where do you find fuel in an empty tank, as you said? Do you have a mental cookie jar like David Goggins, or do you have another technique that you do have?
Here's the thing. Like, I got that from David Goggins, and I have my own cookie jar that I pull all my blue Post-it notes out of it when I feel like I'm, suffering from the imposter syndrome at that current moment. I go, wow, I went through that. Damn, I forgot about that. What a badass, right? So like, there's that, but then there's also, just leaning into the hard things, right? So to my cookie jar is just what I put into myself. If I wake up in the morning and I do the first thing I do is hard, like something that is not the most fun thing to do, then I build that resilience. I build that mental toughness. I get more reserve fuel in my tank, right? Because I sit there and we're like, yeah, dude, I'm done. I'm calling it quits. Say, no. One more, Shawn. One more. Like literally one more call, one more email, one more text message, one more recording, one more something. And that one more could be me reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, I love what you're doing. You don't know me. This may sound weird to you because men don't do this often enough, but I want to let you know that I love your content. I love what you're doing for the people. You seem like a man or a woman that truly wants more for people, not from people.
That is great. And I like to do the same thing, start with the hard stuff. But how do you make sure that you don't burn out? So what does a typical day in your life look like? And what are the non-negotiables that you build your life around?
What does my typical day look like? Up at 4:30 weight room. Leave weight room. So I do my lift and then I do my interval cardio. Come home. Make the kids breakfast. Make my breakfast. Eat with my children. Non-negotiable. Every meal they are here, I'm at that table. It's a non-negotiable for me. It's not. There's no way on God's green earth am I not going to sit out at the dinner table with my children. Non-negotiable. So lifting for me, non-negotiable. Okay. My children, non-negotiable. Coffee with my wife, not missing it. I'm not missing it. I make my wife's coffee every single morning, and I'm glad to do so because we've been doing that for almost a decade. Aww. And it's something that it's an act of service. It's an act of me doing something for my wife, something so small that I really enjoy. The rest of my day is finding ways to make more sales in my career, right? In my medical device career, contacting surgeons, contacting nursing teams, contacting practice managers. Then when I get home, it's dinner time. I'm at the table with my children. I cook the dinner. My wife cooks dinner. We enjoy each other, right? I put the kids down. It's back to work, right? Around 10 p.m., when I say back to work, I'm working on content for my business. I'm thinking on ideas what the next book's going to be, right? I'm thinking about all these different things that I can implement and do reach outs, to help people. And then I watch TV with my wife. That's cool too. And I wake up in the morning and do the same thing.
I like that you have your priorities straight and you know exactly what your non-negotiables are. Because to a lot of people, the small things are the ones that they give up the easiest. And then this is a slippery slope to losing your relationships or, these kind of things that just impact your entire life, your relationships and everything.
Yeah, I think into your 100%. And here's the thing. When you've been with somebody for so long or you have children, you tend to take those relationships for granted, right? Mm-hmm. You make your own coffee. Nah, kids, I'm not going to set the table with you today. I'm not going to make your lunch today. I got other things to do. But here's how you don't burn out. You do things that fill your heart. There's things that I love in this world. Beating the heck out of my body, right? Because I love to sweat. I love my family. I love people. I genuinely love people. People talk about people are inherently bad. No, they're not. They're inherently amazing. And everybody has a story and a reason why they project onto the world the way they are, right? And if I can just channel those three things in a day, it's impossible for me to burn out.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
This doesn't work.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to connect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, with all that you have achieved so far, what does success look like to you in the future or right now, or where do you want to take it in the future? So what are your goals that you hope to achieve within, say, the next 1 or 2 years?
Well, I think for the business, for the brand is to be globally recognized, 100%. Continue to speak on international stages, come to Germany for a big event, hang out with you, have a couple beers, show me how the Germans drink. Hopefully not. I don't know if I can hang with you guys. But more than anything is helping millions of people, right? Impacting the masses to where I'm a household name. Now, I want to be a household name, not for the ego-driven part of it. for the simple fact that, like, hey, Shawn doesn't know who I am, but he changed my life. See, Andy Frisella is that way for me. He probably doesn't know I exist, but I started listening to him in 2015, 16, his very first podcast, MF CEO Project. And I realized I was destined for more in my life. Right. So that's my business goal, right? My relationship goal, my family goal is to be able to pick up whenever the hell we want and go wherever the hell we want. Mm-hmm. That's success to me. And being able to take my computer with me if I have to do some work.
That's so good. Yeah. And it's so freeing to have this flexibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I really, really love about your book is that you're not holding back and that you're really sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly of the journey. And you dare to share your fears and insecurities as well as all the steps that you took to overcome them. And that takes a lot of courage and commitment. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for writing this book. Yes, and I think there's so many gurus out there who tell you that you have to, in order to become successful, all you have to do is to have positive thoughts all day long. But you and I know that this is only half the truth. The other half is taking ownership of your life and taking consistent, inspired action that gets you closer and closer to your goals every day. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you move towards, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just asking, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Absolutely. You're never going to think positively all day long. Random thoughts are going to pop into your head. And and that is the enemy trying to keep you down. And you have two choices. You have negative thoughts come in onto your frequency constantly. But every single time they do, you have to act in a positive manner. Say, no, that's not true. I'm going to go do this. And I'm going to give myself some more evidence to support that that's not the case. That's not my story. I make my own story, right? So again, thoughts are random, but thinking is not, right? My good friend Craig Siegel always says that. Thoughts are random, thinking is not, right? So when those thoughts come into your head, just understand you're more powerful than that negative thought. That is your subconscious coming, your limiting beliefs, your core beliefs about yourself because somebody told you a story about you years ago. You need to start working on beating that because that is not God's intention for you. He didn't create you to feel less than anybody or anything. He created you to thrive.
That's right. That's right. You have to become the best version of yourself and get rid of those old limiting beliefs, right?
Absolutely. They're useless. Get them out of there.
Yes, it's faulty programming running in the background of your mind. So where can our listeners find you online if they would like to connect with you?
Oh, I would love that. I'm on LinkedIn, Shawn French, SHAWN, French, and then Facebook, Shawn French. And then on Instagram, at the Shawn French, and that's SHAWN. And then on Twitter, at the Shawn M, as in Michael, middle initial, French. And then on TikTok, at the Shawn French. I'm still learning TikTok and Twitter.
Perfect. Again, thank you so much, Shawn, for writing this book, for sharing your story with us today, and for all the great work that you do to help others. It's been an honor having you on the show.
It's been a blast, and thank you so much. And this has been a fun 45 minutes. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, it went so fast.
It did.
Take care and talk to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show or share it with a friend. That way you can support the show and help me reach and support other entrepreneurs like yourself as well. If you would like my help to figure out how you can go from overwhelmed and overworked hustler to empowered and confident leader, check out my website at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions and book a free 20-minute strategy session with me. Can't wait to help you get wired for success. Until next time, take care. Bye.